we better do the weather forecast around the country because it's absolutely shite in Dublin. Lashing rain started yesterday evening, hasn't let up. Probably at this particular moment it has stopped, but it looks like it's back down again. Good news is we're going to have fine weather, fine as they say in Dublin, fine weather tomorrow, and it's going to last. I think Sunday's going to be a scorcher. Monday will be okay. And the rumour on the street is by next weekend, the bank holiday weekend, summer will be here in Ireland. For the weekend anyway. Don't know about for the rest of the months. But listen, what's happening around the country? What's the weather like around your way? Now, we're going to have big giveaways today. And how you take part is we need to see emojis. Now, I didn't know what emojis was as well. But you know them little smiley faces, thumbs up, love hearts, sad faces, angry faces, and so on.
We don't want to see angry faces.
No, we don't see any angry. But if the weather is shite, you're allowed to do an angry face. You can cry, you can. So when you're commenting, make sure that you use the emojis. Is that the way how you say it, Deirdre? That's how you say it, okay? Because see me, the rumour on the street is Facebook are absolutely loving the emojis at the moment, okay? And the more emojis we get, do you remember like last week I was saying I need you to share? Well, this week is I need you to put up the emojis, okay? So every time you tell me the weather is shite in Sligo, put up a smiley face or a sad face or an angry face or a thumbs up, or it can be absolutely anything. We couldn't care less what you stick up. You know the way, as I said, well, within reason that we couldn't care less.
But it's shite in Chicago.
Is it? That's on. I would have thought now it was going to be gorgeous. All right.
Yeah, no, Tracy's in, and she has spelled shite.
Is that unusual for Chicago at this time of the year, or is that normal? Do you know that way? I only really know Chicago, Doris Day,
the Windy
City. Take us back. And it always seemed to be lovely in that Doris Day movie. So anyway, let us know, is that normal sort of weather or is that a little bit unusual? Where in Dublin, this is pretty normal. 40 shades of green, as they say, and the 4 seasons all in the one day. What about everybody else?
Yeah, it's raining in Waterford. It's damp in Omagh. It's shite in Derry. I think generally in Ireland it's not great.
It's not going to be great. No. But you listen, roll on tomorrow. You know
the sun is shining. Sue is over in Staffordshire and the sun is shining there.
The sun is shining over there. Well, I think it must be starting over there and then it's going to work its way towards Ireland for tomorrow.
And
I think that's
in Liverpool.
Yeah.
And it's dry and paisley and the sun is coming out. Karen, that's in Scotland.
Hey Karen, how are you? Okay, so what's the plans for today? We've had a lot of people asking us about floral foam lately, and I know these are tutorials I have covered, you know, the way here on the live classes before, but I suppose we have a lot of new followers and newbies, you know, following us that haven't maybe been with us, you know, the way last year, so they would have missed all that. So I am going to do a little bit of it, just a very short, you know, the way, just a little taster about floral foam, just to kind of give people a couple of little tips and little hints about it, okay? So I'll be starting with that. But then also, like last week, I did 2 fresh hat boxes. Last week I was feeling shite, as well as the weather being shite, but today I'm full of the joys of spring today. Well, I will be till 3:30 this afternoon. 3:30 this afternoon, I have the dentist appointment, and it's going to be taken out that too. So I'll be feeling pretty shite tonight, you know, that way. Hopefully I can drink alcohol and it'll numb the pain anyway. Well, hopefully there won't be any pain. Hopefully this tooth just comes all out in one go. If anybody knows a dentist in Smiles in South Ann Street, tell him to be really, really nice to me. I'm shitting. Anyway, last week we've done 2 fresh hat boxes. And do you remember I had a set of 3, a large, a medium, and a small one? So today, I did promise last week, I'm going to do an artificial version.
Because we're going to be doing the giveaways.
Absolutely. So the giveaways today are going to be stem strippers, okay? And I'm not sure, did you watch our post that we posted last night here on the case page? If you didn't, you don't go anywhere now. But later on, make sure that you go, watch all the photographs, read the little story, okay? And it was, I'm crying, I am. I'm crying before I even go to the dentist. It's a little story about that we're actually 34 years in business this week. So last year, actually, for the 29th of May, don't know what date today is, 25th, is it? 28th. Okay, so tomorrow, last year, 12 months ago, that was the first day of our Module 1 online program. So who can you name off that course, Deirdre? Rebecca Flood, Abigail Freeman. Who else? Come on, anybody watching it?
Not Brenda, Bernie Hurley.
Bernie Hurley, that's right. Up the north, Elaine Murphy.
Elaine Murphy, that's right. Yeah,
Who else?
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Yeah.
Okay, enlighten me. Okay, so they were all like some of our very first, not very first students, but our very first online students. So we are now a year in business doing the online tutorials, but we're 34 years in business training florists in Ireland. And like, it's just absolutely mad when we go back through, like I'm always posting on Instagram, hashtag past student, hashtag past floristry student, and the amount of students out there that are now running very successful businesses, you know, that way around Ireland. And listen, the support that we get from the past students is just unbelievable. Whether it's taking our students on work experience, you know, the way they're normally brilliant. There's always one or two that are a little bit nerdy, aren't they, Deirdre? We hear it back, you know, the way in case you think you get away with anything, we hear it back. We do. Them little birdies are flying from the west of Ireland to the east of Ireland, and we hear everything that goes on. But in general, you know, I say that one was having a bad day. I say she was hormonal that day, she was. But in general, I have to say the past students are absolutely amazing because they remember when they started, you know, that way. So when they would have done what at the time was only a 4-week program with 4 weeks altogether.
Oh, right, yeah.
Their 4 modules, they had 1 week of module 1, 1 week of module 2, 1 week of module 3, 1 week of 1 week of module 4 as a classroom base. But now our students have 4 weeks of module 1, 4 weeks of module 2, 4 weeks of module 3, 4 weeks of module 4. I'd say some of the students coming out now would buy and sell some of the classroom based ones, you know, because it's just because we cover an awful lot more on it. But anyway, to celebrate 34 years in business, we're going to give away 34 stem strippers, okay? And we're going to be really easy about this today. All you have to do is keep posting emojis on the page, okay? And the more emojis you post, like even in the one thread, you know, that way you can go a heart, a flower, a smiley face, a heart, a flower, a smiley face, a love heart, blah, 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 thumbs up or whatever. And we're just going to randomly pick them. Somebody could just post one smiley face and they could be picked. We could feel sorry.
And we're going to call them out during the lunch.
We're going to call them out. And what you'll have to do is email us. Now, there's no point in Facebook messaging us. There's a different crowd looks after that, okay? You won't get an answer. So when we call out your name, and we'll be keeping track of it, so don't think you can be cheating, okay? All you have to do is drop us an email, info@flowerschoolireland.com. And
the very first one I'm giving out is Patricia Hennessy. She's sending us kisses.
There you go. Back to you, Patricia Hennessy. Fair play to you. So that's how the ball is going to be rolling today. And it's on Instagram and it's on YouTube. So listen for your name being called out. So we push that over to one side. Flower-wise today, we're using artificial flowers, complimentary of Charlie up in Evergreen Silk Plants. Am I right? Am I saying the name right? Always get that name wrong, I do. And because we will be coming into summer, because 1st of June is the first day of summer, supposed to be anyway, in Ireland, we're going to use the little sunflowers. So I have a selection of flowers here. So again, I have advised Charlie in advance what I was using. So, because I haven't got a clue of any of the prices. So if Charlie is watching, he will maybe post a photograph of some of the items and with the prices, and you can contact him direct. He does wholesale and retail, okay? And I seen a sneaky little bird tub, because again, you see, we see everything that goes on social media. I seen that with orders, for your very first order, for anybody that hasn't ordered from him before, now I'm sure there's a minimum quantity, okay, he's sending out a free twig ring. So do you remember the gorgeous white twig rings I used a couple of weeks ago? And I showed how to make an arrangement down into them. The weekend before, I done a purple one, and I showed how to do a wall arrangement. You know, the way I have loads more ideas kind of for them. But I seen that on this page, so pop over. It's nice to be nice. So this is just a little blossom that I'm going to use. These are little kind of like fillers. They're kind of like little lavender. Some of them are kind of creams, peaches, and oranges. We have our Billy Balls, if you want to call them, our Crispedias, our Fluffy Duffies, whatever. We have them in 2 colours, and we have these. Are these wheats or barleys? Anyway, the countries who's watching are the wheats or barleys. They're kind of a plastic one, but they're, and I'm not normally mad at corn, is it? No, I think it's kind of the cornflakes or the Weetabix on the inside.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yes. The picture that's on the Weetabix box anyway. So I'd say it is wheat. Sally Siggins and Sligo, are you watching as advisors anyway? I'm always getting them mixed up anyway. There's a couple of them. To be honest, they're plastic looking, and normally I'm not into plastic, but I actually feel they're going to work in with these. But you listen, it's going to be trial and error. I haven't done this before, so we're just going to chance our arms and see how it turns out.
Okay, so we have the first 10 stem strippers are
Jesus,
gone.
you're flying, Deirdre.
Well, she's 34 of them to give out. Okay, so the first one was Patricia Armstrong, we got her. The second one was Patricia Sims, and you're over on YouTube.
Patricia the stripper,
stripper. Caroline Keegan over on YouTube as well. Eileen McGuire, Flowers by Julia, Wettinston, Wettstinsan. You're on Instagram. Sue in the West, Michelle Patterson, Twisted Tulip, and Marie Caffrey. You're the first 10. So after this, send us an email, info@flowerschool.
Don't do in Facebook messages or Instagram messages.
Your address.
You get no response.
And we'll have them in the post to you. So
Brilliant.
With your address.
Okay, so what I want to talk about kind of for the newbies, the oldies will just have to bear with us. You can be posting all the smiley faces, okay? Is a little bit about floral foam. And I know everybody calls this Oasis. Sure, I call it Oasis myself, you know that way. But the proper name for it is floral foam. And one of the first companies who would have designed floral foam, okay, would have been a company called Smithers Oasis. And that's how I think everybody ended up calling it Oasis. It's a bit like Hoover, the company, were the first company to design a vacuum cleaner, and we all call our Hoover a Hoover, right? But there is other companies out there who make floral foam. Kreisel would be one, Naylor would be another, Val Spicer would be another, and there could be loads more around the country. And obviously, another week we talked about Agro-Wool, and also the good news on the block is Smithers Oasis are now bringing out their version. I'm going to say their version of Agro-Wool. It's a fibre floral foam. It will be biodegradable. It is eco-friendly. It's not on the market yet, but as soon as we get some samples, we will be doing a blog on it. Okay. Don't tell me you're giving more away.
No, the messages are flying. But Charlie says, I have hundreds of wreaths arriving next week. The offer is in any orders placed this week is in with a chance of winning a free wreath. 3 in total are being given away.
Brilliant. So did you all get that there? Go and read the comments. Pop over to Charlie's page later on. He'll post the link to his pages, you know the way, in the comments. And again, let's support Irish. An Irish fella up there in RD, County Loud. Is that how the loud people speak?
They speak loud.
Loud. Very loud. Very loud. Very loud. So back to our floral foam. And as far as I know, Charlie has floral foam for sale as well. I'm not sure what brand he has. So personally, in my opinion, I think the Smithers Oasis brand is one of the best brands. It's what we use at school all the time. We send it out to our students in their kits, and anybody that wants to buy small quantities of materials off us here at the school, it's the Oasis brands that we send out. And again, a lot of you mightn't realise that we do sell small quantities of sundries. You know, like for people who don't want to have to go to the wholesalers, haven't got a wholesaler account, are not in wholesale, because obviously there's minimum quantities to go to wholesalers, and they just want to buy a block of floral foam or wires or ribbon or frog's legs or candle holders, whatever it might be. Your local flower shop will support you there, you know, and you will be able to buy them from your local flower shop. There's one or two that are a little bit hormony and may not want to sell the stuff to you. So just contact us. I'll get Sinead, our virtual assistant, to put the link in the comments below there for our floral sundries page, and you can just go over and pick out whatever you want.
Now, there's absolutely hundreds of emojis coming in. Like, we're getting literally from, I'm actually seeing emojis I've never seen before. We do want them to share as well.
Yeah, okay, right, okay. So when you're posting your emojis, also say you've shared, okay? Because I think if Deirdre sees the word share and the smiley face, you'd be more likely to pick the name.
I'll tell you that. Their name would stand out.
Their name would definitely stand out. So, okay, we want to click share, and we want to see them shares rolling up there like a jackpot on the right-hand side. So for anybody starting off, right, a few little basics that you'll definitely need is obviously your floral foam. And I would recommend get some sachets of flower food. Like, we use flower food here all the time at the school. And when we send the flowers out to the students, you know what I mean, as part of their module programs, we always send out flower food. Now, there is people out there kind of take it or leave it. We swear by it. I definitely think it makes the flowers last longer, stops the water going smelly, stops the water going discoloured, and it makes them little buds open. You know, when people say, oh, I got lilies and they didn't open, and I got these flowers and they didn't open, it's normally because they were feckin' starved. You know that way. If you had kids and you didn't feed them, they wouldn't grow either. So basically think of the same with your flowers. So I'd recommend get yourself some flower food. And any sort of knife will do. This is just kind of one of the little Oasis floral knives. You know what I mean? But any knife will do, and a decent scissors. And again, all these items can be bought on our website. and anchor tape. Now be very careful when you're buying anchor tape that it's not pot tape, P-O-T. Completely different product, you know, that sort of way. Looks the same, but it's not the same. Now, with floral foam, it stays fresh for approximately 6 months. A lot of people don't know that, okay? After 6 months, it's a bit like bread. You know, when you go into a shop and you get the bread and you squeeze it and you say that's fresh, or the carton of milk and you check the best before the end of the week or whatever, and you know it's fresh. Well, when you buy the floral foam, there's normally not a best before date on it. But I want you to, in your head, kind of say, okay, it's, say next week it's June, July, August, September, October, November. So the Oasis, block of Oasis, is going to last up till November if stored in really good, ideal conditions. So there's no sun shining on it. It's not getting extreme heat like that's right beside a boiler, you know, that way, or a heater or an immersion tank, you know, that way in your house, that it doesn't get damp, you know what I mean? So hopefully the weather's going to get better. But you know the way in the winter time, people would store this in their sheds, and most sheds and garages are damp. So if it gets damp, it'll go stale very, very quick. If it's extremely cold, which is 11 months of the year in Ireland, it's extremely cold. So if it gets extremely cold, so again, back out if it's in the garage or the shed, it will go stale. Now, how do you know it's gone stale? And I mean it'll go stale in less than the 6 months. As in, you could buy a brand new box of floral foam today, stick it out in your garage, and we'll just pretend it's November or December. Do you know that sort of way? And it's a really cold night tonight, like it's frost or snow or ice, and the garage is quite damp or whatever. In 2 or 3 days, your box of floral foam is gone stale. And that's why most of them don't have a best before date on them, because it all depends on how you store it. If people say, where's the best place? Under the bed, on top of the wardrobe. Feck him out of the bed and put the box of Oasis in the bed beside you. You know, that way, a dry area, kind of like, you know, house conditions are perfect. Now, when it goes stale, so in case you go into a flower shop, especially if she's a hormone florist, you know that way. I'm only slagging, by the way, but you know me, I pick up on things, okay? And if you see the Oasis on the shelf and it's kind of like, there's like a brown kind of, I call it a shitty brown colour, but then I describe a lot of things like a shitty or shitey, you know that way? So I'm going to a shitty dentist this afternoon. So if there's kind of like a brown wave kind of going through it, that's normally a sign that it's gone stale. Or if it's completely discoloured, you know, that sort of way, that's a sign that it's gone stale. So people say, well, would I buy it? Well, if you went into a shop and you were squeezing the Brennan's loaf and it was rock hard, would you buy it? Or if you were looking at the carton of Avonmore milk or whatever, and it said like the best before the 20th of May, and it was today, would you bother buying it? So the same thing, if Oasis is stale, no, you shouldn't buy it. You know what I mean? You're mad to buy it. You'll normally find, like in most good flower shops and most good garden centres and all wholesalers, you'll never have a problem buying stale Oasis. Now, as I said, any knife will do, but it's marked out into a third. I'm not sure kind of if they can kind of see them little lines. It's very faint, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Oasis brand always has its name wrote on the block. You know what I mean? So that's how you know that you're buying an Oasis brand. Otherwise, it'll say Val Spicer, or it'll say Kreisel, or whatever the company is. You know that way? So like your florist can sell it to you and say, oh yeah, that is the Oasis brand. You will know by looking at it what brand it is. So the 1/3 and the 1/2 is kind of like the popular sizes that a lot of florists use, and even a 1/6 of a block. So using them lines as a guideline, like all you have to do is cut it. Now I'm just going to show you here where the blade of the knife there, just bring it back to the beginning. You can see the blade doesn't fit, you see, all the way across. But wait, the great thing about this is you just slice it down, you know what I mean, to the bottom, pull it back out again. And even though that hasn't cut all the way across, watch, just give it a snap. Now, because I done 2 cuts there, I've actually 2 cuts. Remember, I took it back out again. So I'm just going to go over to the other side and start that demo again. So you get your knife.
Made the balls of it.
Made the balls of it there. It went a little bit shy for me. So back down here with the knife, because this does work, okay? Down into the, take it back out. And again, one crack of your finger. And you see the way it just cracks and you get a perfect cut. And if you want a 1/6 of a block, again, you can cut that in 1/2. And again, the blade isn't fitting all the way across. We'll only cut the once. Down you go to the bottom, take it back out again, and watch it, snap it with your finger, and that's how you get your 1/6 of a block. Now here I have one I prepared earlier. I have my basin of water, which could be your sink or whatever container you're going to use. So get your little sachet of flower food, open it out. The directions is on the flower food to how many gallons and litres and so on, but it normally does a vase of water, which there's more than a vase of water in there, but I'm just putting the one sachet in. A little bit of a swish around. I don't want to get my hands wet, so a little bit of a swish around. And what you can then do, actually, before I drop it in, is trim the edges, okay? So when you're doing flower arranging, and this is something I teach our students all the time, they should trim the corners just barely. You can see there, I'm barely taking the edges off. Trim the corners off the edge of the foam, okay, the 4 corners, and trim around the top as if you were peeling a potato or if you were peeling an apple. Just barely take the edges off. Now, the reason why we do that, and I do have, here it is, I do have a bin on the floor, okay? So we're giving out.
She's been warned.
The new floor. The new floor. So the reason why we trim the floral foam, okay, if you think about it, it has to be easier to insert flowers into that shape than that shape there with them severe corners. And when you go to hide it with foliage or flowers, it has to be easier to camouflage, you know, that way when you've trimmed your floral foam. So all you do then is drop it into your basin of water with your flower food in, and it takes 60 to 100 seconds.
Just when you've done that, there was a question earlier on, and I can't remember who the girl's name was, but she said, why doesn't her Max Life foam sink to the bottom?
None of them sink to the bottom. There's no need for it to sink to the bottom. You'll see the way that's actually gone down. And can they see through the container there?
Yeah.
Can you see the way? Hopefully this doesn't spill all over me, right? No. It's not going to go to the bottom. There's absolutely no need for it to go to the bottom. If it was maybe a jumbo block, and obviously gravity and weight will bring that down to the bottom. Once it has submerged under the water, it's wet. You can take that out straight away and you can use it now. But if you're not ready to use it straight away, leave it in there. You're better off leaving it in there. And people say, will it not get over soaked? It's a sponge. So it's like putting a sponge into a bath. You know, it'll only take up so much water and it'll stop, you know, that way. So it's not going to go to any harm. The rule would be you only soak it as you need it. So if you're not going to make that arrangement till next week, don't soak the foam till next week, you know, that way. And it'll be, as I said, 60 to 100 seconds is all it takes. Now, as I said, this class or this little tutorial is kind of a little bit for the beginners and the newbies starting off. And I know we've any Americans watching. Here in Ireland, we call this the delf. You know that way. You probably call it the crockery, the plates. I don't know.
The dishes.
The dishes, okay. But in Ireland, we say the delf.
Go
okay?
wash the delf.
Delf covers cups, saucers, side plates, dinner plates, milk jugs, sugar bowls, anything that you use.
On your kitchen table.
And that's on the kitchen table is called delf in Ireland, okay. And what we call the presses, okay, the kitchen presses.
Where you store it.
What?
It's where you store the delf.
It's where you store the delf, yeah. So again, you probably call it a cupboard, or I don't know what another name would be. But anyway, just the larder. Anyway, for the non-American ones, if the Chicago one is still hanging on there, right? Just
yeah,
so
she's actually just answered. She said she didn't know foam goes to shite, and she spelled it right this time.
Right. So normally Irish people only take out the good delf when visitors come to the house. And we definitely only use a saucer when you get good visitors. So you know the way your delf gets cracked and chipped and so on, and you throw it out and you buy in new delf, you know that way. You normally find Irish people anyway, we always have lots of saucers in the back of the kitchen press because we never break the saucers because we never use them. And we haven't had any visitors in a year and a half because of fucking COVID, you know what I mean? So at the moment, you have loads of saucers in the backs of your kitchen presses. So what you should invest in is frog's legs, okay? So these are called frog's legs. We call them frog's legs. Every typical one out there that never did a class with me calls it a prong. But you're all going to call it frog's leg now.
Flairs by Julia says, do you call the living room the parlour? I do.
Yeah, we call it the sitting room.
Yeah, but the good room is the parlour.
Oh, the good room is the parlour. And that hasn't been used for the last year and a half either, because only you bring the visitors into the parlour, you know, that way.
With the saucers.
With the saucers. The good delf. And the biscuits. The biscuits are only taken out when the visitors come. So here we are, right, with our frog's legs, or prongs, as other people know, because when you do go to buy them on websites, the proper name is a prong. And stuck to the end of it is what we call Oasis Fix. Oasis being a brand and Fix being the name of the item. And I often explain it to the students. I say, it's like blue tack. Or for anybody in Ireland, you know what we used to call mala? M-A-F-A-L-A, or plasticine, I think is the proper name for it. You know the way, you know the stuff you roll around and you make maggots. A maggot is a snake or a worm, but maggots is what we used to say in Dublin. So here we go. We sell them like this with the Fix stuck to the back of them, okay? So I'm just cutting one off, okay?
And what Janette, Tracy, she just informed us there. Hang on, I have to find it. The dishes go in the cabinet and you use the fancy china for the guests.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like, I actually think this is this saucer is left from a wedding present I got the first time round. If he's watching, he's probably looking for half of them back anyway. So anyway, that's one of my wedding presents. So here we go, frog's leg, and I'm just going to pull the little paper off the back of it, and then stuck there you have your Oasis Fix. I'm just kind of like rolling it off there with my finger. And as I said, it's a bit like a piece of, like a piece of chewing gum, but a piece of blue tack or a piece of mauler, right? And what you do is you roll it around in your finger and your thumb, you make it soft and pliable, the heat of your hand makes it soft, and you make a ball. You don't flatten it, you keep it in a kind of a ball shape. And you stick your ball to the end of the frog's leg and you don't flatten it. And you then stick that using your thumb down into the center of your saucer, okay? And it can be anything. It can be a soup bowl, a side plate, whatever's left over. And when it gets, that's a bit crooked, but it doesn't matter. When it gets cold, it gets hard, you know the way, and the Oasis Fix is waterproof. So in case you think you might use blue tack instead, it's not going to do the same job. So that's what frog's legs are for. And they're brilliant for using up the delf that's in the back of the kitchen press. So now when you're ready to make the arrangement, you take it out, you drip it, and you drop it down then using the palm of your hand. You press it down securely on top of your frog's leg. And that's to stop it sliding around. That's what it's for.
Mary O'Keefe, and she must have been really posh.
Oh, she's really posh.
The china was reserved for the visitors in the parlour and was stored on the sideboard.
Oh, the side. Yeah, do you remember the sideboard? Yeah. Oh, this is it. You know that way. And the glass cabinet full of glasses. You know the way. And you'd be drinking out paper cups. You would yourself. Like you wouldn't use the good glasses. You know that sort of way. And the thing is, when you die, your family come along and then they give them all to a charity shop because they don't want them either. Like it's mad, isn't it? And I remember like reading something one day and it said like we keep up all these good stuff, you know that way, good tablecloths and good glasses, you know the way, and expensive glasses. I started using mine all the time because you're right, you know that sort of way, like there's no point in keeping them up. We're here for the good time, everybody. We're not here for the long time. So the next thing then is you use your anchor tape then to strap it in. Now you could use sellotape if you're stuck, but sellotape disintegrates when it gets wet. So that's why the anchor tape is better. So you pull it across your container, you stick it to one side of the saucer, okay? Now this is important because a lot of people try to stick to two sides at the same time. You then pull it tight and secure, you see, across the center of it, and you stick it underneath. Now that probably did overlap underneath, but it's not necessary. That was just because I cut a long piece, okay? People will say to you, oh, it must overlap underneath. Not necessary. In a flower shop, if they are busy and just looking for posy dishes and they're getting dishes prepared for Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Christmas, etc., they would probably put the floral foam when it's dry into the container, cut it to the shape, trim it off and so on, but don't wet it. They then anchor tape it in, but they make sure that they overlap the anchor tape underneath because that makes it more waterproof. And then they could have maybe 20 odd, 50 odd dishes organized in advance, okay? And then when it comes near the time they want to use them, they feck the whole lot, dish, anchor tape, floral foam, frog's legs, everything goes down into the bath of water or whatever. And because the anchor tape is waterproof, it's perfect to this. The Oasis gets soaked, you know the way, take it out and you're ready to go. And you'll be amazed how much time that will actually save you. So that was just, as I said, couple of little short tips, you know that way, on a little bit of floral foam. But now I'm going to move on to our
okay. So when you do that, get yourself sorted there. Now I'm going to call out the next 10 winners.
Okay.
So lots of the emojis have actually slowed down now.
Okay. But anyway, are they sharing? Are they sharing?
I think they are. They are sharing. Okay. So we have again. Some of these are funny names. So Kaz, CAZMCQ.
Mightn't be politically correct to say it's a funny name now. Just because we think it's a funny name now. It could be a partner name.
Audrey Faulkner, Deirdre Jordan, Burn Photographs, Rachel Ferry, Eliza Kate, Sue Bossum, Thelma Curtis, Karen Louise Bishop, and Kate Doherty. You're the next 10 people to get stem strippers.
Brilliant. So drop us an email, info@flowerschoolireland.com. Don't message us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Don't think you can message on YouTube anyway. Only dealing with the ones that are sent by email. And we have a list of all your names, so nobody chancing their arm. And the more you to share and the more emojis you see, you never know, because Deirdre can't count to 34. And anyone that's late joining us, the reason we're giving away all the stem strippers is because we're celebrating 34 years in business. So also tomorrow morning we have maybe the Instagram ones have seen this already. We have an absolutely great hack, a little tip to show you. So I have a full video coming up tomorrow morning for you, showing you an alternative use for your stem stripper. And it was actually a hack that we picked up from one of our past students. So Ailish Egan over in VIP Weddings in County Mayo. If she's watching, I seen she had this up and I says, oh my God, that is just such a brilliant hack. Tried it myself and it was just amazing. And any of the women that are watching there, and even some of the men, you might need it as well, you will love your stem stripper, you know the way, and it has nothing got to do with taking the leaves or the thorns off the roses. So that's why we decided to give away the stem strippers today. So back to the hat box. I have this to save time, okay? I filled it with dry oasis. And you can see it's a bit like a jigsaw puzzle there. I've cut all different shapes in. So it's wedged in nice and tight. I was afraid of my shite there that was going to fall out, you know what I mean? But it's wedged in nice and tight. And this is the lid of the box, of the hat box. And what I've done here at the back, using the what I call the lollipop sticks, but they're actually waxing sticks, okay? Actually got back to the waxing shop last week. It was, I must have took about half a stone off my legs. I did. The weighing scales went down a half a stone after getting the legs waxed. So all I've just done is sellotaped it inside the lid there, and just with the top of the scissors, I got the lollipop stick and I just kind of cut it into a point, you know the way, and that can make it easy to secure down into the floral foam. Now last week I showed you a different technique where I had like an umbrella made with the wires and I had the lid at the top of the box, okay? But today I want my lid kind of over here, kind of at the back, you know, that way, kind of slightly open, and that was the idea of our lollipop sticks. So you could use wooden skewers, by the way, you know, like the kebab sticks. So if you're in the butchers, and they always have loads of them, you know, the way they're making up kebabs, you know, the way, and they're, I was going to say wiring up chickens, boning up chickens, you know, that way, they'd have the plastic skewers or wooden skewers, and I'm sure they'd give you a handful of them. So selection of silk flowers here. I'm not sure how much or how little I'm going to use because this is a bit of trial, kind of an error. But what you can do is take notes as I go along. I have some wires in case I need it, okay? So with these flowers here, these little sunflower bushes, so these are all from evergreen silk plants up in Ardee, County Loud. I don't know why I do that every time I say County Loud, but it just sounds good, doesn't it? I wonder, does Charlie talk like that? And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to separate them. So open the scissors really wide, because somebody asked me that one week, like, how do you cut them? Open the scissors really wide and they just cut through them there. And I'm not sure if I need the second bush of them, do you know, that way? So we'll see how we go. And we have this lovely kind of like cherry blossom. So rather than kind of cutting it all together, do you see that I'm cutting in between it and cutting in between it, cutting in between it, cutting it in between. Now, one of the weeks that I did the little dried basket with the silk flowers, I did show you how you could wire and tape. So I'm not going to do that today. I'm kind of going to mostly make things easy for me and use things in their right length. Now, we got a lovely message because we have a Module 2 program going on at the moment. They'll be finished next week. And watch out for, Sinead is actually in the process.
Charlie says he doesn't speak like that, he's in Dublin.
Go on. So Sinead is in the process of making some little videos to post on the page to show you all the work that the students have been doing, like some amazing work, you know, that way it's been posted from them, whether it's hand ties, funeral sprays, and all different styles of wreaths. Like I know Karen is watching there, and like she's even done the gates of heaven yesterday, you know what I mean? So they're absolutely flying, and we post all them photographs in little kind of like 1-minute videos for you, just so that you can have a look. What else have I got here? So we have these little, I think Charlie calls them just like little fillers. And again, do you see the way I'm pushing the foliage up on the stem? That way then you're not wasting anything. Do you know that way? And just before we came on live here this morning, we were, and I know I've been promising this for weeks, okay? But we're actually started, we've already, that's why we were a couple of minutes late kind of coming on, was we've actually started doing the step-by-step tutorial, how to make an artificial wreath using all, not these flowers, completely different. It's going to be purples and pinks, using artificial flowers, all supplied by Charlie and Ardee, County Loud, all supplied by him. So I have the video half done, and as soon as I'm finished here and then with this live, I'm going to go back to it. And next Friday we won't be on live because it's bank holiday Friday, well, bank holiday weekend here in Ireland. So we're taking next Friday off. But what we're going to do is, and we'll have this set up as an event. We need you to still join in at 11 o'clock, okay? And we will have a free link. So it's a free step-by-step tutorial. You know that we've shown you absolutely everything, how to make an artificial wreath the old school way, right? And that'll only be available for a limited time, you know what I mean, on the site. So it'll be up at 11 o'clock next Friday. I'm heading over to Sligo, so whatever time then Janette decides to take it down off the page, a bit like Harvey Norman, when it's gone, you won't be able to get it again, right? So I'm cutting a couple of them up. I also have our little Crispidia balls, you know, that sort of way. So again, I'm pushing some of these up, our Billy balls, our little fluffy duffies, whatever, pushing the little foliage up on it, because that's going to be like my little fillers. And again, I'm cutting them. Some of them I'll have to cut them a little bit shorter. And I think I'll cut these as I kind of go along. I have a few more. These are lovely. I actually love these. I think these are gorgeous. And he has these in lots of different colours, because I'm using the pinks and the purples actually in the artificial wreaths that I'm making, you know, that way. So I'm using a good range of the silk flowers that Charlie sent out to us, because he did send them out to us. Oh, the reason why I'm saying about module 2, I was saying to the students yesterday in the module 2 that I wouldn't be in their bloom room this morning, because obviously I'm with yous. And I said to them I was going to do an artificial hat box arrangement. And one of the girls, can't remember who it was, Aideen, was it? Aideen sent me a lovely message. She works in a hospice. She said that the town, but sure, we didn't know what county that was. I haven't got a clue.
County Cork.
Is it Cork?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Grant. So she works in a hospice in County Cork. And seemingly at the beginning of the COVID, they had a lot of artificial flowers, but they had to get rid of them, you know, because of HSE and so on. So she asked us, would we send this down? And absolutely, we're going to send this down to her. And I still actually have, it's behind the screen, the little artificial dry basket that I did. So I'm going to pop them in the same box, you know what I mean? Because it's lovely to see them kind of go into a nice home, right?
Born photographs, are you in Sligo for classes? Sign me up.
No, I'm in Sligo to feed the cows. Bring out the farmer in
Patricia Sims says, used to are Aegis, I'm enjoying the crack. My mum has a china cabinet all full of good delf for the visitors.
I know, it's mad, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? Every house is the same. Like, anybody that thinks they're a little bit different, every house is exactly the same.
And you know the thing is,
I'd laugh at your man, you know, the American fella, he actually only lives up the road here. What's the comedian fella?
Oh, Bishop.
Yeah, Des Bishop. He literally lives around the corner from us here, you know that way. But you know, you hear him and he's on the telly and talking about the immersion. Well, like, I can remember that as kids. Who left the immersion on? It's switch off the immersion. Like, if you're halfway to Sligo and you'd actually have a panic attack, did we turn the feckin' immersion off? You know, and let's drive back, because you think now it was the worst sin in the world. And as Deirdre's husband, his electrician, said, it's cheaper to leave the immersion on all the time than it is to keep switching it off, and then it has to heat the tank back up again, you know that way. But it's one of them Irish things, isn't it? So you can see at the moment, I'm just randomly sticking a couple of the sunflowers here and there. Some of them are a little bit longer and some of them are a little bit shorter. And I'm sitting some of them kind of down into the hat box, and I'm allowing some of them to kind of come out a little bit over the edge. To see kind of how easy that is, you know, that way. So you can see how casual I was about cutting them, you know, that way. And sometimes I think, I'm not saying it's the right way, but the more relaxed you are about doing these things, you know, when they say it'll be all right on the night. Well, it's like us, the show goes on, you know, that sort of way. It'll turn out, it'll be grand. So there's a couple of, that's another Irish word, it'll be grand.
It'll be grand. Olivia says she decided to use all her china glasses because she's worth it. And actually, I do the same as well.
That's what I said, I'm doing the same. And there's nothing as nice as drinking cheap, plonk Aldi wine out of a gorgeous crystal glass. You know, that sort of way. You think then you were drinking the Whispering Angel, you know, 20 euros a bottle, you know, that way. Like, it definitely makes a difference to drink something out of a nice glass. Like, I absolutely hate, I normally have a gin and tonic when I went to the pubs, you know, the way. And I hate when they hand you a tumbler glass, you know, the way. I love to get the goldfish glass, you know, like the gin. Say, feck, I'm paying enough. And especially when I often used to go to, they're probably listening, go to the pub across the road from us, which is the Word Flanagan pub, and they'd hand me a tumbler. And I say, over in my own house, I give myself a decent glass and me little ice cubes and me little black peppers floating around and me slice of cucumber. And I'm doing it for myself, you know the way. And when you're going out and you're paying, I'm a right mo now, I'm like, but you
Margie
get the story.
Says we have the family cups and the posh cups are kept for the visitors. I have the towels.
The good towels only go out. And then when we visit, she said, don't be using them towels, they're only for the visitors, you know that way. So we all have to use the raggy cloth or wipe your hands on your clothes, you know, that way coming out. She's not as bad as that, which is like, every family is exactly the same. And anybody that says they're different, you're telling lies.
Jessie Donner says she's a day off today, so she's watching from bed with a coffee. I hope it's
Isn't
in a
it
posh
well
cup.
for you? I hope it's in the posh cup. Like, my son was only reared with posh cups, Jessica.
Oh yeah, that's
So
it.
Jessica is my future, just about there, daughter-in-law, and she's collecting her wedding dress this weekend. So it's going to be great excitement, you know, that way. I've kind of seen a short little video beforehand, but she's going to be beautiful, she is.
Okay.
So again, you can see how we're filling in there, just using in like lots of these bits of blossoms, bits of the fillers, and I think I'll go on to some of our little orange balls now. Come on.
And the next 10 stem stripper winners with all your fabulous emojis. So if you still want a chance to win a stem stripper, get those emojis.
I'd say you've lost track of the 34 now at this stage.
Okay, so Blooms on the Green, Lusk, Flowers by Julia, Gillian Hindle, Hindle, Violet Cummins, Rings End Rose Phipps, Claire McFadden, Joan McGuire, Deirdre Walsh, Avril Malloy, and actually Avril I think was the one who put up all the teeth emojis. Angela Deborah,
me in the dentist this afternoon.
Eleanor Lynch and Margot Reuter. I think Margot's on YouTube. Margot Reuter, Ruiter. So your winners of stem strippers, drop us an email with your address.
Fair play.
And I have 4 more to pick.
All right. So
and
I'm nearly finished here anyway. So.
Oh, there's lovely emojis coming in now. There we go. That's what we love to see.
And are they shared now? They click and share there.
I hope they are.
They better be, you know, because we're depending on you to click share, right? Because as I said, it's so hard to get the videos out there, you know, that way, without having to pay and like pay to boost. And I say, Becca, we're doing this for free. I'm not going to have to pay now to boost the video as well. So we really depend on you by use click and share. And as I said, the rumor on the street this week is Facebook was looking for emojis. They keep changing it, you see.
So we let you know next week when we...
It could be something different. Well, we won't hear next week.
Oh, yeah.
That way, but it could be something different, you know what I mean, the week after. I think there's plenty in that. There you go.
Gorgeous,
so there
lovely.
is your artificial silk basket. I didn't use our silk hat box. I didn't use everything, and I didn't use our wheats. But you never know. I could do something else with these. And don't throw anything out. And don't throw them little... just let one fall on the floor. See them little plastic stems? Because next week you're going to see me for the funeral wreath, okay? I'm going to use them plastic stems. And if there was any little gaps kind of showing, there wasn't, but I just had this ready just in case. And this is like an artificial moss. Now, I actually have loads of fresh moss, okay? But this is like a dried moss. And again, this here is like reindeer moss or Lapland moss. And again, I could use that for filling in any little gaps. But to be honest, I didn't actually need it.
Maisie Blooms and Clonmel says, do you ever glue them in?
You could glue them in, absolutely. And especially if it was going into a bit of a madhouse, you know, that way that didn't have posh visitors. And the kids, you know what I mean, and kids were moving around all the time. If you put a little dab of glue on the end of the stem before you stick it into the dry oasis, to be feckin' well sure, it definitely won't fall out, you know, that way. But I kind of find, you know what I mean, 6 months of looking at that now, I tell you, be ready for a new one, you would.
Sherry Floral Designs says Facebook are horrible for hiding the posts.
They are, yeah, it's a disaster.
Business, yeah.
You have to learn the tricks, you know, that way, and then you depend on your audience, you know, that way. Like, rather than me hinting at it, I just kind of come out straight with you. Please put a few love hearts in the comments below there, you know, that way. And it does help, you know, the way it definitely helps.
Becky Bradley wants to know, is the moss at evergreen plants also? I
don't know. No, I don't know. Charlie, are you watching? Do you have any moss for sale? But listen, if you haven't, I have some fresh moss here beside me. This is still from Manor Hamilton, which is in County Leitrim. So this is fresh moss, okay? Now this is damp because I still had it in the bag and I'm storing it outside. But if you have a little bit of fresh moss, just leave it in an area that's just dry in your garage or your shed. It'll dry out. And to be honest, like that's fresh moss that was dried. Now I bought it, okay? So that's fresh moss dried out. So that stuff looks just as nice. And it keeps its colour. It won't go dead looking. It'll be fine.
Burn Photography on Instagram wants to know, how do we share? When I put it up to IGTV, I would love you to share it.
You really appreciate it.
Now. Somebody just asked, or actually, I see Sinead put up the link about the Christmas course, because we said we would let them know.
We did, yeah, because all the bookings are now open for our September courses, because we close for the month of July and August. So the Christmas courses start the 1st of November. It's a 3-week online program. You do get a kit sent out to you. It'll be all new towards what you learned last year, you know, for any students that was with us last year, and then it'll obviously be all new to any of our new followers and new students. So the 1st of November it starts, and we are taking bookings now. So the link, Sinead's going to put the link in the comments below.
Somebody's just saying that they don't normally like fake flowers, and they actually think that's gorgeous.
It's just fake flowers, everlasting flowers, faux flowers. what we say in Dublin, letting on flowers, plastic flowers, everlasting flowers, silk flowers. They're all on trend. That and dried flowers is all on trend. It's just kind of like taken over. And you know what? In 12 months' time, they could be back out fashion again, you know, that way, and there'll be something new in. But like the silk flowers and the dried flowers are definitely all the rage at the moment. And there's no point, like say for anybody that's in the flower business saying, oh, well, I don't like it. You're not buying it. It's your customer might like it. You know what I mean? So it's not always your taste. It's not all about you. You know, like, it's not all about you. Like, it's at the end of the day, it's what the customer wants. So if the customer wants it, you need to be able to supply it. And at the moment, customers want silk flowers and they want dried flowers. I think a lot of it is because fresh flowers are gone so expensive at the moment. And like they jumped up in price again this week because it's Mother's Day in Poland France. And in France, I think it is. So when it's Mother's Day in another country and you kind of say, feck the Polish and feck the French, it has nothing at all got to do with us. That isn't how the market works. It's on the auctions, the demand goes up, and the more demand there is, the prices go up. And those poor feckin' Irish have to suffer because the Polish mothers and the French mothers are all getting their flowers this year. But listen, we get them back, you know the way. We got them back the 10th of March this year. We would have raised the prices, you know the way, here in Ireland and the UK when we had our Mother's Day. But forgetting about Mother's Day, flower prices in general are off the feckin' wall, do you know the way? And I think that's one of the reasons why Silks and Dried is so popular.
Come back in, yeah. Okay, I have my last 4 winners.
Okay.
Frances Weaver, Hester McCann, Noelle Daly, Bridget Doyle, Anya Hutchinson, Babe Brenda, and Virginia McNeil.
That's more than 4.
I couldn't count. So that's it. I think we have given away about 40 stem strippers.
Brilliant. Okay, so big happy birthday to us.
Yes.
Huge thanks to our mum, Kay, who actually is the original owner, startup, whatever, entrepreneur, like 34 years ago. It was so unusual for a woman to go out on her own and set up her own business. So big congratulations and thanks, Ma. Yeah. Thanks for setting us up in business, whatever. But seriously, when you get a chance, go and look at the post that we posted last night. I know this morning it had 372 likes, you know, that sort of way. So again, we'd love a few likes on that, and a few emojis and a few shares. We'd really, really appreciate it. And listen, tomorrow morning, look out for the video. What time are you posting it at?
I'll post it at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so 10 o'clock in the morning, but it'll be there all day, so yeah. It doesn't really matter. So 10 o'clock in the morning, Deirdre will post a video about how to use them stem strippers for something nothing to do with flowers, okay? Some of you may have had a sneaky peek because you've seen it over on Instagram last night. We posted up a little reel. And next Friday, there'll be no live class next Friday. There's supposed to be a big awe now. Are they saying awe?
Oh, they are. I can hear them.
Big awe there, okay? Oh. So no live class next Friday because we're all heading, you know what I mean?
To our gardens.
Our gardens. It's supposed to be a lovely weekend anyway. And so what we're doing is at 11 o'clock next Friday, there's going to be a free class coming up, how to make an artificial wreath, okay? So completely artificial wreath to put on a grave. It can be for a funeral, but what I would be thinking of is that if you want to put flowers on somebody's grave and they're there like for a couple of weeks until you get to visit them again, you know that way. So that would be the plan. So huge thanks to everybody for joining us. Anybody that's watching this on the replay, I know the stem strippers are gone, but listen, we'd still appreciate if you gave us a few emojis and you gave us a few shares, and huge thanks for joining in. Thanks for interacting. It makes such a difference. And listen,
we wouldn't be here without them.
We wouldn't be here without you. Only for you. Yeah, huge thanks everybody. Really, really appreciate it. So it's bye from Deirdre and it's bye from me, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for another live class. Bye bye everybody. See you then. Thanks.